Welcome to this 2025 review here on my channel. I'm Daniel, and this channel is normally all about DaVinci Resolve and Final Cut Pro for the iPad, and if you're into that, you already know that. You wouldn't click on this video if you don't know me. That's my guess. Prove me wrong in the comments if you're completely new, if you saw this video first, and you see this as a first entry point, then I'm sorry for you. I'm really sorry for you. I do these videos every single year where I just reflect on my year, and I think it's a good thing. We should do that more often. We should reflect. I'm not a hardcore productivity and following rules and calendar fool and reflect, but I get the point. I get the idea why we do something like this, to sometimes just hold still, look at what happened, and I can't even explain it. I just think it is important. So that's why I also make these videos every year. More likely, actually, probably for myself in the future, looking back, oh, where was I at that point? Like, for example, if I look back 3 years ago, all of this DaVinci Resolve thing wasn't there. And also my career and my YouTube channel and everything was not at the point where it is right now. And I don't want to make this video about like, oh yeah, this is my numbers, this is I achieved, and I'm so great, because that year wasn't like, it didn't feel great to me because of internal battles and struggles and things that we have in our life, or I have in my life. And I saw something cool last week here with my tracking band Whoop. They offered also a review, like they had like in the app, like, hey, the yearly review is ready, you want to see it? And I was first like, I don't really care. I don't care. I stopped looking at my numbers. I mean, I look at my recovery or something like this, but anyway, then I looked into it and I found it very fascinating. I was, the way they presented it was cool. I liked it. They showed month by month, and every month was the key metrics. What happened there? According to my data, of course, and sometimes with new features that they rolled out, that after you have something, you got so used to something that you totally forget it. And then you totally forget that, oh, there was a time when you didn't have that. This morning, I was sitting down, reflecting on my year, and I did the exact same, month by month, and looked what happened in this year. Because first, it wasn't easy to do that for me. I was sitting on paper and I was sitting like, oh, yeah, so 2025 is over. It doesn't feel so good. Why does it not feel so good? I mean, there's tons of reasons and different explanations and things that happens personally. I mean, we all go through stuff. I imagine you have stuff in your life. If you feel free, you can share it in the comments. But I guess two major points is my self-doubt and my critic about myself, about where I am in my process. Like thinking that I should be further away, but also at the same time knowing that if you don't do certain things, then how can you expect to be there if you haven't done them? For example, I had a couple of goals for this year that I did not reach, and even now the little progress that I made on those topics didn't feel like much to me, because I'm this kind of person. It's the same with every video, it's the same with every process, and I think this is also the reason why this format with YouTube works for me, is because I only see a result when it's done, like when I can ship this video. For example, at the moment I'm recording, I'm talking to the camera right now, and I started this already like 3, 4, 5 times. Was thinking I just hit record and not much editing time, because it's the 31st. I'm sitting in the parents' house. We have New Year here, celebrating in Germany. I don't want to edit a lot, but I still want to do a review video, which will be the wrap up of this year, right? And I lost the track. I lost the train of tracks, the track of trains. That's why I said sorry. If you're still here, what are you doing? What are you doing? I totally lost it. Okay, so what happens? There's a couple of things that actually positive happen, and I think this is what I wanted to say, that sometimes we forget that we do. And when I did my reflection work, not the things this morning to give a guideline for this video here today, was more like every year together with my girlfriend we do this like reflection work. There's a couple of questions that we do just to hold still and look back at your year, and then also appreciate what actually worked, things that actually you learned, things that actually where the year was amazing. And she gave me this nice tip today when I was doing this task in the coffee shop. She told me, like, just grab your phone with all the pictures and go back month by month. Just looking at the pictures, what we did, will give you inspiration what to write down. And she was right. She was totally right. Then the idea sparked. My brain had ideas of, yeah, this is what we did in January, and I wrote way more down than I wanted to do. So Daniel, why? Come to the point. Tell me this. This is not the important. This is the result. This is what I can tell you. This is mine. The importance is the story behind the thing that I'm telling you right now that we sometimes totally forget. And I think this is even more important in that message. I can tell you now, like, yeah, we reached 17,000. I don't have to make a video about this. You can see it somewhere here below, right? 17,000 subscribers. Nice. I think I heard this once when you also for goal settings, set goals where you can control and not where the output is not in your hands. For example, if you set a goal, next year I want to reach 10,000 subscribers, and you do everything you can and you don't reach it because for whatever reason the algorithm doesn't play it, whatever you made, it just didn't work. But you still worked every single day for a full year and you published 365 videos. So are you now a failure or not? The problem is you feel like a failure because you set the goal 10K. So what? If you are at 9,900, are you a failure? Technically, it depends now on your brain and how you see that, right? Maybe with 9,900 you're not so unhappy, but if you only reach 5K, but the year before you had 0, so you still made in 1 year 5K, like not money, but 5K subscribers. That's why I got the word is, I think, intrinsic or extrinsic attached goals. So what do I mean by that? So this year I nailed my goal of creating at least 52 YouTube videos for this channel and 52 YouTube videos for my German channel, because I have 2 channels. I do all this DaVinci content in 2 languages. This was kind of funny. A week ago someone told me in the comments, Daniel, under the AI in YouTube sucks video, I have a video about AI sucks, like the translation and everything. And I think he was joking. He was saying, Daniel, I can't find your videos in English anymore. Or was the opposite? I don't remember. But this was funny because I guess he saw my videos, but from the other channel. He wanted to listen to German, but he got all the English videos now in his feed. But this is interesting for people who actually start finding the other videos first. I guess that's one of the problems that arise when you do the exact same videos in 2 languages. I actually record both of them. It's not just a voiceover or something or a translation. I actually record them. I actually edit them. I do this all in the same process. So back to the goal. I set the goal 52 videos to record them for the YouTube videos, and I nailed that. I think I published last year 164 in total combined, 164 videos on both channels. So yay. But I wrote somewhere like I have to reach 20k subscribers for that year. I haven't reached it, right? That's why I'm telling you the story. That's how important it is that you have a goal attached to something that you do. So you do it every single day, or you do it like once a week, and you actually execute on that, then you can be proud of yourself, even if the outcome is not what you wanted. But at least you did what you said you wanted to do. But not everything is rainbows. I also said that I wanted to finish my DaVinci Resolve desktop masterclass. I'm working now since 1.5 years on a desktop masterclass. 5 modules are, by the way, done. There was a phase when I completely stripped away the German version because I do everything in 2 languages. I picked it up again, started recording about this, got new wind. Also one of the topics, I guess, why this video is hard for me, because I cannot come out and say like, yeah, I nailed this year, it was super easy and I banged out this and this and this. No, it wasn't. But a good learning when I did the reflection a couple of days ago was that I actually wrote down under what was my biggest achievements. I actually wrote down the 164 videos. That was my biggest achievement. Not that I published a new product or that I published something new or that I finished a new online course, which internally, these are normally the things that I was always valuing as the most important. Because obviously, if you create your first online course and it can change your life because you can make money from that, like the MasterClass for desktop will change my income because I will help more people, not just the people on the iPad. I can help more people learn and understand DaVinci Resolve. It's a big thing, right? But I recognized, wait a second, it's also a big thing to actually stay committed and having this habit of doing my videos every single week. I struggled a lot through this year, but somehow I always managed to finish at least one video. Or if you're now a long-time subscriber or you watch my stuff a little bit longer, you notice that in the last 4 months, I stepped up again to 2 videos a week. So there was always 2 videos coming out on both channels. So 4 videos a week about DaVinci Resolve or Final Cut Pro and this kind of stuff. So yeah, I just wanted to emphasize this. So a couple cool things. January, the biggest thing, we were back still in Germany, in Berlin, and this was where New Year, 1 year ago, we celebrated with the family of my girlfriend, and I got the first airport 4s that I ever had. I never had them before. I never had airports, these ones, and it's funny because since I have these, I barely use my Sony headphones anymore. Not because my Sony headphones are not good in quality, I think it is because it's just easy of use. I use a MacBook, I use my iPod, not iPod anymore, iPad, and I use my iPhone. And it's just seamlessly. Not always. I had moments where I was listening something on my iPhone, and even if they are connected to my MacBook, it just didn't start. I had to they're still amazing. Another reason why I like them a lot is the latency for gaming. This is also my downfall from this year, or I say that every year, I guess. That's my downfall of my life. I love gaming. I played a lot of games, and the latents on these are even better than with the Sony MX5s that I have. So I use them for gaming. Drawback, after 5 hours, the battery is empty, so you have to actually recharge them, but it's always good to make a break for gaming. So these ones, I have them since January. So February was an very emotional month. So in between, we went back to Bansko because we're living in Bansko in Bulgaria. Then we went back to Germany because we went to a seminar. I got my first Kindle Scribe. So I use Kindle for my ebook reading since I started traveling in 2015. And when last year the Kindle Scribe new edition was announced, I wanted to get hands on it on an e-ink display. I wanted to see how it feels if it actually can replace my book. And since that month, I started only using, even if I now have a book in my hands again, since that time I was only using my Kindle Scribe. There's goods and bads, trades off. I never made a video about it here on my YouTube channel. I wanted to. I recorded a lot, but I never finished these videos because there's so many other great YouTubers out there who cover the stuff. But it's not that it feels not good. It feels very good. It's the software. Amazon software is just so buggy and laggy. I cannot do this. Simply go through my books. I have a journal in this book that has now over 300 entries. Just going back to a certain page just takes time and effort. And I have a couple of journals in the morning, I track my time. I have a to-do list and another journal, so 3 different books that I created that I always have to swap in between. And just opening and closing them on an e-ink display is a pain in the ass. But I managed to go through and just use it. Why is it a very emotional month? Because this was the month when my grandma died. So it was not a surprise or something. It was something that we could see. She was, I don't know how to say that in English, abbauen. She was basically over the years slowly decreasing in, I don't know how to say that. Yeah. So now I don't have any grandma anymore. My other grandma died when the COVID stuff happened in 2020, and she died this year as well. And I don't want to now use this here in my video to be emotionally or something, because I wasn't as attached, and I also travel a lot, so I was more distant from the family, especially the last 10 years. So, but this happened, and this impacted our family. That's why we went back to Germany in February. Positively, that's kind of funny, my mom and the mom from my girlfriend actually have the same birthday, just one day apart. So on one day, we were still celebrating in the south of Germany, took a night train to celebrate the next day, the birthday, and surprised the mom of my girlfriend in Berlin. She did not know that we are coming. Like my mom knew it because of the seminar we were there, but whew, that was cool. That was nice. And then I was back in Berlin, and Berlin has an Apple store. At that time, I was actually recording a lot of videos, and I was actually planning to make a video about the Apple store in Berlin. And wanted to release this here, but I never finished that video. Instead, I've just purchased an iPad mini. I wanted to make a video showing you how I purchased this iPad mini, right? So, but in the end, I just showed you that I had an iPad mini, and I made videos about it, about DaVinci Resolve and everything. But since February, I also own an iPad mini. In my last video, I even announced that now we are traveling. After here, Germany, we will go to Turkey for a month. And this is the first time I don't bring my iPad Pro with me. So I only work with my iPad mini. But a little bit spoiler, I can already tell you, it's a pain in the ass. I don't have a keyboard, which makes copying and pasting something that I use a lot, because I also run a blog, right? It's not my videos, I also have articles about everything that I teach. And on these articles, I do a lot copy pasting, especially because I have them in 2 languages. And this is just a pain. I learned something new, that we can actually fast copy and paste on the iPad with like a 3-finger gesture. Look it up. There is something. I find it clunky, and I was destroying more than it was helpful. Maybe I have to get used to it. But yeah, so it works. I can work with the iPad mini with my blogging stuff. But I see now that I use the most important stuff where the iPad is more handy, like making notes, making screenshots, making arrows in it. This is amazing on the iPad. Then bringing everything into my blog articles. But then the final touch-up, writing, I actually take up my Mac and I write on a keyboard. I don't like writing on the touch screen. This is something I already can tell you. Okay, March, we got back to Bansko, and I wanted to change my life a bit, because at that point we were already 1.5 years here in Bansko, or a year in Bansko, and I wanted to just change my life a bit, not the same co-working. So I started in a new co-working facility for like 3 months, tested that one out. Was kind of cool. That was also the same month then where we had to fly back, or we flew back for the funeral of my grandma. I also got myself a couple of new toys. I got a new keyboard because I had an iPad mini, and the iPad mini has no magic, from Apple at least, no magic keyboard or something that is very sticky. And most of the keyboards that I saw on Amazon, they were too bulky. I purchased the iPad mini because I wanted something very small and lightweight, not as big and heavy as my iPad Pro with magic keyboard. So if I want to have a keyboard, I want it very, very lightweight, but I couldn't find it. So then, instead of just buying some garbage keyboard that kind of worked, I decided to actually buy myself a very nice keyboard that I can use in the co-working on a big monitor when I edit or do stuff. So I bought the Nufi Key Air 2 or something. It's a 3/4 sized keyboard. Never made a video about this. Tons of videos on YouTube. Amazing. Since I have it, this is one of these things that you have that then I use them. Like when I go in a co-working and I use an external monitor, then I don't use my keyboard of my MacBook anymore. I actually set up my Bluetooth mouse and my Bluetooth keyboard, and I just work with them. I see now that this takes so much effort and time and energy to go month by month. I thought it was a good idea. It probably is a good idea if you make it proper and put also the proper work and time in. And if I actually would now also show you all the B-roll and go back, I don't want to edit now 3 days for a review video, I'm very honest. That's why I will skip this. I will show you the most important that happened this year as well. I actually published 3 books, kind of. I had a book already, this is in German, this was my first business, about Canada, where I traveled 2 years in Canada. I published this book in 2020, and I had to rework it because lots of stuff is outdated, stuff changed. And at the same time, when I was working on that book, I was deciding, you know what? A lot of the knowledge of my 10 years traveling, and especially 5 years working holiday, because that's with the working holiday visa, and I spent time in Canada, I spent time in Australia, I spent time in New Zealand. I decided, why not also make these books for Australia and New Zealand? And that's what I did. So this year, I published also a work and travel guide. Australia only exists in German. There's another one in New Zealand. And these are these kind of projects. I'm not making much money of these because it's a very small niche, that also in the language, and I don't promote them. It's not my active business anymore. So it's just more something that I wanted to do since a couple of years, and I just finished them. And I wanted to see how the process is, if I have already a book, I have the structure, because I remember this book took me 4 years with the first edition, all doing it by myself. And I just wanted to see how is it if you don't have to find the structure again, because the same 10 chapters apply for each country. Like I have the same chapters for the other countries as well, only the country content changes. So how does it work to get a bank account in Australia has different steps than in Canada, right? But my experience about van life, for example, because I lived 3 years on the road in my van, and I learned a lot about being minimalist and these kind of things. These are the same. I got these 3 years because of these 3 countries. So when I wrote this all in the first book, this applied to the other countries as well. So there's lots of little tips, tricks, and hacks. So if you're German, you want to do working holiday, pick one up, pick these books up. Yeah. Then there was also a failed project. I don't want to talk a lot about this, but in November of last year, 2024, I started a partnership with 2 other guys. Both of them, they run New Zealand websites. One has a blog, travel blog, similar to the one that I have. And the other guy, he started with the travel blog, but he later transformed his platform into like being the middleman of, hey, you can get a camper van, buy or rent through our website. And on the surface, the idea was cool. We wanted to partner, the 3 of us, combine our knowledge and do the same thing for all 3 countries, not just New Zealand. Do it for Canada, do it for Australia. And I worked for them now 9 months, and yeah, to say it easy, it didn't work out, which I still struggle with, because for me it was like working on something that I wanted to build, that is like a base for the future. Whatever money that comes in, just a base. We even had a website. It's still up. If you go to van2life.com, I own that domain. But the service is on his side, so it's complicated. But yeah, it's hard talking about it because I can feel that still there's pain in it. There's pain in it. Was it good that we split up? I think so, because when you start a partnership, you don't know how you work together. And I think that people have different expectations when they go into a partnership. And one of the learnings is that make sure you understand the expectations of each person that goes into a partnership. Then a big thing, we didn't have any contracts. Nothing. We just did it per friends, right? We knew each other from the years before. Let's just start and do it. That is a big mistake. I would never do that again. Because when you don't have a contract, there is no power in it. So I was basically, I'm not want to say it bad, I was getting paid. So it was not that something bad happened or so. It was an experience. But I'd never started working for someone else for money, since I'm self-employed now. And I don't want to. That's why I'm self-employed. And I went into this partnership because I wanted to have partners and not do everything myself. And I didn't see the point without even knowing what happens in the future, because if you don't have a contract, you don't know what happens. the person who owns everything can just simply then say, you're out, there's no contract, and that's not good. I learned that direction is very important, leadership, that even a partnership with just 3 entrepreneurs, you need to have a direction. We started doing this way too big. The original idea when we started talking about this partnership was to expand this to Canada, to do this, what he already created for New Zealand in Canada, and use the skill sets of each. Like, that's why partnerships, each of us had 3 different types of skill sets. But even after 5 months working in it, I was not doing what my skill set was. I was doing what someone else's skill set was, and I was getting paid for it. So I did something that I didn't like to do, but I did it to learn. And when it was about direction, focus, it's painful just talking about it, because there's so much that happened. Yeah. I share this now because you can see, even in entrepreneurship, and maybe this is obvious for most people, but if you go through it, it's painful. You do stuff that will not work out. In that time, I could have finished my MasterClass for desktop, for example. I feel bad, but I decided to do the other thing. But yeah, I guess that's why I also have this feeling over this year that even if I made progress and I published, for example, even for DaVinci Resolve, there's a new product, a starter kit. It's not the whole masterclass. So when people want to learn everything, the masterclass is the big one. But as an entry point, because the masterclass is Western prices, I was like, okay, is there maybe a couple of tools and a jumpstart guide that I can give so that people can just start doing something and have a couple of cool tools. That's why I started a starter guide where there's a couple of like VFX packs and stuff in it where can people just use and become faster and help them achieve their videos. I created that, and that's, for example, something that I started doing because of Alex Hormozi's book launch, Money Models. It's his 3rd book in this series, 100 million, and yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. So I changed, at least from the structure, how I will build my business with DaVinci Resolve. So I'm not sure if I talked about this on any video yet, but basically I have an outline where the future can go. I struggle a bit with that too, to be fair, but I have now something like, at the moment my business was 1 product. And what I did is I packed everything in. And I think it's a very good product because I have stuff in where normally you have to pay another 100 euros here, another 100 euros here, and another 100 euros here. And yeah, I packed all of this in one. But he revealed that in most businesses, the way they can scale and actually make money is that you have a so-called money model. What it means is different types of upsales, or just think about it like the next logical step. So I created a starter kit. That will be my attraction offer. He also calls them these. I now use the words from that book. It's a very good book. Pick it up. Attraction offer. Attraction offer is something for the people at the beginning, even like either low budget because they don't have the money to pay the big thing yet, where you can prove that you do know what you talk about and that you can actually deliver. And this is like an offer that is really like, this offer is so good it feels stupid saying no. That's the attraction offer. Something that we're, oh yeah, this is a no-brainer. That doesn't cost much and gives me so much value. That's what I did with the starter kit. And then the next step is your core. But your core, of course, is something pricey, something that has a lot of in it. It's not just about making money, but that's part of it, right, if you have a business. But for that money, you have to also give a lot of value. So, and because of that, I was thinking about what is actually even more important than my masterclass that I have right now. Like, since 3 years, I see the following. Most people purchase the masterclass and then they don't do it. Like, they maybe work into it, they learn something, and then they sit on the shelf. I had people who purchased the masterclass when it was still $50 at the beginning, right, when not everything was built, and then they just grabbed it for $50, and then for 2 years was standing around. But it does also not helpful. I mean, it helps me, I get money, but and then they have it in their brain. Also nice, of course. I'm the same. Sometimes I buy something just to know that in the future there's a nice deal and I can, yeah. But think about it. If you really want to help someone, he has to actually do it and then learn it and then use it. So for example, with a program with DaVinci Resolve, if you want to use it and make better videos, and if it's now commercial or for hobby, you have to do it, and it shouldn't take you months to learn everything. But DaVinci is a big program. So then I came up with this bootcamp. Never talked about this. A 30-day bootcamp where I teach you the basics and the most important stuff to make amazing videos with DaVinci Resolve on the iPad in 30 days. Structured in 30 days that you can follow along, that it builds a habit that you can start, but not overwhelming, because I think currently my masterclass is very overwhelming. There's now 3 years of content pushed into this masterclass. It's a good deal for the customer, for you. If you haven't bought it yet and purchased it, you should get it. But the structure is sometimes missing. You have to go through everything yourself and learn everything, and it's a lot, right? Because the software is a lot. So the core offer, the next step would be the bootcamp. And the bootcamp would probably be something around 300, 400, 500 euros because of the time value, that in 30 days you learn everything that you needed. But for that, now you become a little bit about, because this is behind the scenes, right? I'm not trying to sell you now something. That means I have to change everything I built for 3 years. That means I have to do a lot of stuff again. And it wasn't easy. It took me 3 years. So on paper, it makes sense to build a structure like this, and it will also help more people. But I cannot just simply slap on a new name and call it the 30-day bootcamp. I'm also a perfectionist. I like to do the things right. So the 30-day bootcamp, I've never started it. Only on paper, the outline. And then the next thing would be a downsell. So if someone sees your core offer where you really help, but really they are not ready yet, but you don't want to lose them, then you can downsell them, not upsell, downsell them, and tell them, okay, if you don't need the personal guidance, the community, if you don't need the day-by-day training lessons tailored to your needs, blah, 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 blah. If you just have an online course and you can do it in your free time whenever you want, does it sound better for you? And then some people are saying yeah, that's better, more that I wanted to do. Okay, then here's my masterclass, the product that I have right now. So that would fit in there, but still with a price raise, because I haven't raised the price now in 2 years. And I always said I would, but I didn't want it to raise the price. Fear, I guess, but also because, but everything is getting more expensive. When I change the structure, I will actually do it and follow the steps. And then the last one would be like a continuous offer. Continuous offer, I'm not sure if I will ever build it with my business, not with DaVinci Resolve. Maybe if I combine filmmaking or a film school. The continuous offer is something where people are in your continuous offer. Like, for example, I give you, my stuff is hosted on a platform and I have to pay monthly for that. That's a continuous offer, right? So what that is depends totally on your business and what you're doing. A lot of talking about this. Good book. I would say I wrap up this video. It was a long review. And I told you at the beginning, this is a short review. This was short. I could have continued for 3 more hours. Will not do this. Let's start 2026. I wish you and your family a happy new year when you see this. Maybe it's already the new year when you see this, then happy new year again. I hope you had an amazing year 2025. Let me know in the comments how your year was. What did you take out from 2025? How was it for you? I want to hear from you. Let me know in the comments. See you in the next video. I'm Daniel. Bye.